Lo-fi is music's warm blanket. Chill loops of mellow and worn tones, setting a snug ambiance for our serenity. We don't dance to it. We don't sing along. We let it quietly sit with us, like a friend whose presence alone is enough. But beneath this serene surface lies the real beauty of lo-fi. A sound that calms your nervous system, sharpens your focus, and quietly rewires your brain. The neuroscience of lo-fi is fascinating. It's not just background noise, it's a sonic environment built for a generation escaping overstimulation. So let's dive into the mind mirage of lo-fi, where science, emotion, and sound align. Quick one. I made this channel to create a community of music lovers and musicians I can share my music and documentaries with. If you haven't already, hit subscribe and follow us on social media. Every new community member helps me level up the quality of my work. Join the Fermiverse, and let's get back to your brain on lo-fi. Lo-fi is an enigma of a genre. It fits so many moods. Whether you're studying, sleeping, daydreaming, or decompressing, it just works. And the secret lies in what's missing: lyrics. With no words to process or narrative to follow, lo-fi strips music down to texture, tone, and repetition. This minimalism lowers cognitive load, allowing the mind to focus or gently drift without interference. A Georgetown University study found that repetitive instrumental music, free from lyrics and jarring changes, can enhance cognitive function. Lyrics, even in languages we don't understand, still compete for mental bandwidth. Lo-fi avoids that altogether. The voiceless loops of lo-fi regulate the brain's limbic system, our emotional core, where feelings, memories, and mood converge. Without lyrics, the brain isn't busy decoding meaning. It simply experiences sound. This creates a more conducive environment for concentration. There's nothing to interpret, no ego to navigate, just a serene scaffolding of music to immerse yourself in. And in that space, our overstimulated minds focus and heal. But lo-fi doesn't just work because of what's missing, it also works because of what repeats. Its steady, looped rhythms are more than just relaxing. They sync with the brain. The brain naturally produces electrical waves, each linked to a different mental state. Alpha waves are associated with relaxed alertness, while theta waves correspond to deep focus, creativity, and emotional calm. Neuroscientist Psych Louis explains that if you insert those frequencies into the music, she says, that might influence your activity in those same frequencies in the brain. This is known as phase locking, where the brain aligns its internal rhythms with the pulse of the music. And this effect is especially strong in people with ADHD. Lo-fi's tempo, typically in the 60 to 90 BPM range, closely aligns with alpha and theta frequencies. A study published in Scientific Reports found that music between 56 and 106 BPM increased alpha and theta activity in the brain's frontal regions, enhancing both relaxation and emotional stability. For people with ADHD, who often struggle with internal timing and self-regulation, these mellow, predictable rhythms act as a stabilizer. The beat becomes a gentle anchor, grounding restless thoughts and helping sustain focus without overwhelming the senses. Lo-fi doesn't rush you, it waits with you, and sometimes that's all the mind needs to stay still. Humans aren't perfect, and neither is lo-fi. That's why we love it so much. The soft crackle of vinyl, the hiss of background noise, the warble of slightly off-key piano, these aren't mistakes, they're part of the charm. Those warm imperfections do more than color the sound, they activate emotional systems in the brain. Piece by piece, we can connect key stylistic elements of lo-fi to how each one subtly evokes a different emotional state. Let's start with lo-fi's tone. It's one of the least bright genres in modern music. Compared to modern pop, lo-fi's frequency spectrum reveals a clear drop-off in the upper range, particularly above 10 kHz. That missing brightness is what creates its signature sonic warmth and calming effect. This study shows how high-frequency sounds, particularly in the 13.5 to 20 kHz range, were reported to induce higher levels of discomfort, concentration issues, and annoyance among listeners. While pop music emphasizes piercing hi-hats, glossy synths, and polished vocals meant to stimulate the brain, lo-fi softens the top end, muffles the sound, and rounds off sharp edges to settle the brain, Sonically, it's like lighting a lamp instead of flipping on flashing fluorescent lights. But lo-fi's warmth isn't just in its tone, it's in its texture as well. The vinyl crackle and tape hiss we mentioned earlier, they have a surprising impact on the brain. A study from the Manipal Academy of Higher Education found that degraded low-fidelity sounds can evoke feelings of nostalgia and even an imagined past. This concept is known as reconstructed nostalgia. Lo-fi activates implicit memory, stirring emotions not tied to specific events, but to a feeling, a place, a mood, a moment in time. Lo-fi doesn't need to reference a specific memory to feel meaningful. The sound of a distant piano, the muffled chatter beneath a beat, the hiss of tape. They paint scenes in the mind that are emotionally true, even if they're not autobiographically real. It offers the comfort of nostalgia without the need for history. When we close our eyes and let lo-fi play through our headphones, we're transported, not to a place we remember, but to one we somehow know. A simpler time, before the constant buzz of notifications, before life started moving at the speed of a swipe. Even if we never lived that past, lo-fi lets us feel like we did. In a world that's constantly polished, refined, and auto-tuned, lo-fi gives us something else. A quiet space of solace. Raw, imperfect, and a little more human. This space isn't just nostalgic though, it's environmental. The music doesn't just play in your ears, it surrounds you. It builds a sonic architecture you can step into. Psychologists call this affective scaffolding, using external tools like music to create and stabilize internal emotional states. And lo-fi is full of these tools. Rainfall, ocean waves, room tone, static. These ambient layers aren't decoration. They're design. They create a sensory space where the mind can retreat, reflect, and restore. A study cited by Time magazine, conducted by researchers at South Korea's Gwangju National University, analyzed the clinical use of nature and ambient sounds. It found that the gap between the natural setting and the highly urbanized and artificial setting is likely the root cause of the stress state in modern people. Exposure to natural sounds, the study states, provides an escapist remedy, offering comfort, improving mood, and producing sustained increases in well-being throughout the day. In essence, these sounds aren't just relaxing, they're corrective. They return us to something our nervous system still recognizes as safe. And no space feels safer than the comforts of our own home. The sounds of home are everywhere in lo-fi. The drum textures feel domestic and organic. Muted thumps, wooden taps, offbeat knocks. These aren't studio-polished samples, they're homemade. They echo the rhythms of lived space. Footsteps in a hallway, the closing of a cupboard, the quiet knock of knuckles on wood. And this familiarity, it's the essence of affective scaffolding. A sound that doesn't just calm you, it takes you home, no matter where in the world you are. Lo-fi reminds us, home isn't just where we listen, it's where we create. You don't need expensive gear, a vocal booth, or a treated studio. You just need what's around you, and the willingness to hear it differently. Let's give it a try. That wooden spatula? It's a snare. A spoon tapping a coffee mug? That's percussion with character. And of course, the classic book kick drum. Rearranged into a simple beat and layered with some vinyl crackle. In my case, sampled straight from my own record player. Then, I roll off the high end. Just like that, a full lo-fi drum kit, built entirely from my kitchen. To finish it off, I can lay down a bit of guitar and bass. Or if you prefer, sample an old jazz song. After all that, here's what we got. Lo-fi reminds us that creation doesn't require grandeur, that presence can be looped, and peace can be built one sound at a time. In a world that moves too fast, it slows things down, not to escape reality, but to meet it more gently. Maybe that's all music needs to be, a place to return to, a home to simply exist within.